Well, hi and welcome back to my YouTube channel again. I'm going to do a presentation today on my first digital SLR camera. I can't believe that I haven't done this before. I've written about it and spoken about it and shown photos of that I've taken with this camera on my blog, but I don't think I've actually spoken in detail about it. I've mentioned it, I think, on some of my YouTube videos, but I haven't actually specifically focused on it. So today I thought I'd talk to you about the camera that got me launched into digital photography. Before this one I did buy a little 2 megapixel Olympus camera, which got me used to the idea of using a digital camera. I've still got that, and that was amazing for its day, but it's just not even as good as a phone, of course, these days. So anyway, so are you guessing which camera it might be? Well, I'm a Pentax fan, and I have mentioned on this channel before about the Pentax MZS, which I was using before I went digital, and the Pentax MZS was a wonderful camera. Well, this one that came out caught my eye, and I was itching to get into the digital world, and but it was very costly, and anyway, I'll go in and talk to you about that in a minute. I first probably started noticing this camera in about 2003. It was starting to be mentioned in magazines like this, Pro Photo. I've got lots of these magazines. I used to read all the professional and the amateur photography magazines, both local and overseas. This was April 2003, and in here there is an article here called Pentax's Digital SLR Breaks Cover. I'll just read a little bit about it from here, and of course I'm talking about the Pentax istd with an asterisk in front of the I. What a crazy name for a camera. Don't know why they did that. They had actually brought out a film camera just before this without the asterisk in front of it. Anyway, I'll read on from this is when I first started noticing around about 2003. What was it I said? Yeah, 2003 I started noticing about the Canon, the Pentax Digital SLR. I'd read about the fact they were going to do one for some time, but this is when they said it's about to happen. Pentax has revealed more information about its first digital SLR, which was shown at the PMA show in Las Vegas and is scheduled to be formally launched in July. And this was in 2003. Yeah, I'm not sure what month this was. This was April, so this was just a couple of months before it was launched. So where were we? Is scheduled to be formally launched in July. It is based on Pentax's Pentax next generation 35mm SLR, which was launched at the PMA show. That was talking about the MZS, of course. Previous to that, although preliminary pictures suggest the two actually look quite different and may only share control systems, Pentax has adopted the name istd for its new generation of compact 35mm cameras, etc. And at the heart of the digital SLR is a 6.1 megapixel CCD with an imaging area of 23.5 by 15.7 millimeters, that is APS size, and it's compatible with compact flash type 1 and 2 memory cards, plus micro drives. Downloading is via a USB connection. The camera will generate RAW, TIFF and JPEG files, and the preliminary specifications suggest it's capable of continuous shooting at up to 2.7 frames per second. It will have a top shutter speed of 1/4000th of a second with a flash sync up to 1/150th of a second. And a new autofocus model provides 11-point scene coverage, while exposure control is based on a new 16-segment metering system. The camera can be powered by 4 AA size batteries or 2 CRV3 lithium-ion battery packs. Pentax says this camera is the smallest and lightest 510 grams digital SLR available, and that was, and in Australia of course they were distributed by CR Kennedy. So there you go, that's when I first started taking notice, and it wasn't long after it came out that I decided to take the plunge. I wanted to get into the digital photography world. I'd been thinking about some of the earlier Canon models, but they were terrific specifications in many ways, but only 3 megapixel, the one I'd been looking at, and that was very pricey. This one wasn't cheap. It was around about I haven't got the price specs here, but was well over $3,000, I think. And that was a lot of money for me in those days. I was doing weddings, but I was only doing it part-time. So anyway, I decided to do a rent to buy type program. Ended up costing me about $6,000 for the camera spread over time. The problem was, back in those days, if you wanted to get into digital SLRs, there weren't any on the second-hand market because they were all new, and no one was selling their cameras, and they weren't being pushed to buy the latest camera like you get every day. There's a new one comes out, and a new type of camera, new what's the word, genre, or not genre, type, mirrorless cameras and APS-C and full frame, the whole works. So we get marketed at pretty strenuously these days to upgrade to the next one. However, so I bought it on a time payment situation. I still have it, and it still works fine. And I started off, I've mentioned on other videos of doing, I started off doing weddings with this as a backup to my film cameras, and eventually got to the point where I thought, well, I can now do a whole wedding on one of these, but still using film then as the backup. And the problem was, at this stage, at one stage, I was set to go over to Perth to photograph a wedding for a friend, and I'd taken this camera to the football and I'd spilt Coca-Cola all over it, and that ruined it. So I ended up buying the Canon 400D, which I have spoken about in a previous video, and I couldn't, I think we took this with us, just got it back and was just working, I think, and we took this with us, but I ended up using the Canon 400D for most of the weddings that I did in that Perth one, which was back in 2006. But prior to that, I was using this, and there are lots of posts on my blogs where I've taken this camera out and on holidays and all sorts of things, and you'll see some samples of the photos that I've taken with it. I've got AA batteries in it. Just a word about the batteries. The type I've got in here, if I can get it out, are Fujitsu type batteries. They're similar to, I don't know whether you can get Eneloop wherever you live, but Eneloop are very similar. And I found that conventional, and these are rechargeable ones, I found that conventional AA batteries and various other rechargeable ones, apart from this one and the Eneloop, they seem to die pretty quickly in it. So I'd recommend that you just hunt around to get the right batteries to put in this. You can get other batteries, it'll take other batteries, as I mentioned in the article before. It's only got a very small viewer on the back, screen on the back, compared to the modern cameras these days. But it's got a lot of great features that I really love. If I was designing a new digital SLR, forgetting whether you needed video or not, I would be going for something like this, even though it's only 6 megapixels. This is my ideal camera in many ways, and I'll tell you some of the reasons why. Down here, it's got a PC socket on the side there. I think I just dropped that little piece of stuff that came off. It's got a piece, the little cover. It's got a PC socket there on the side. You don't get too many cameras that have got a PC socket these days. You've still got your hot shoe up here. You've got a pop-up flash. On the back, as on the Pentax MZS, which is a film camera, on the back you've also got a back autofocus button already built in there. You don't actually, you probably can't hear that, but I'll just press this and it should focus here. It's focusing as I do it, and I can also focus up here with the button and take a picture. I'll take a closer one. I'll just zoom in a bit closer and see if I can get this. Now I'll show it on here. There you are. Oh, you won't see that on there because of all the reflections, but it comes up on there. So you've got all sorts of other connections here. You've got bracketing, and you've got multiple exposure, I think. No, what is it? You've got a timer, a self-timer on here anyway. You can use a remote control with it. You've got all different settings for your white balance. You've got all the usual settings on here. You've got the green button, program. shutter priority, aperture priority, manual, bulb, ISO. You can set the ISO manually, and you've got different levels of you've got RAW and JPEGs, and you've got the ability to set and change those as well, the strength that you want. So also you've got here, just at the front here, there's a little little metering segments there. You might better see them. So you've got center weighted, spot metering, and multi-segmented metering things there, which you can adjust with this little knob back here. What else can I tell you? It's just a great all-round camera, and of course you can use, even if that's a digital lens that comes with the Pentaxes. This one I've got on here is an 18 to 55 Pentax lens, but you can get, here's one of my favourite cameras, the Pentax KX film camera. So you can just take one of these old bayonet mount this is an A series lens, and it's a what is this one? It's a 100mm f2.8 portrait lens. It's a beautiful lens, this one. I recommend you get hold of this if you want a decent portrait lens. So, but anyway, I can put that on the istd. Just slips on there like that, and turn it on. And I can take photos with that like that. I've got it on program. Let's see what happens here. Of course, I've got to manually focus it. Come back here a bit close with the 200mm. Come back here. I probably need to set it on manual to do that. Nope, that didn't do it. What am I doing wrong, Jeff? Oh no, I need to put it on A probably. I think I need to put it on A. Not sure why that's not firing. Oh, there it did. Now it's gone now. It's just shot off then. And now it's working. So there you go. It's coming up fine on the back there, but you probably can't see that. I don't know whether you can see that on the back there. No, it's pretty hard with all the reflections, isn't it, to get a look at what's on there. Anyway, so even with an adapter, of course, you can use all your old M series lenses, all the lenses that fit on my Pentax Spotmatic, the M42 lenses. With an adapter you can put all of them on here and they will work fine as well. So you can, I've seen some of these around. They're not all that easy to get hold of. I've seen other people do reviews on them. I know Lee Hayes has done a review on his YouTube channel of one of these. I think the 6 megapixel. The 6 megapixel, even though it seems a small amount of megapixels, you still get some beautiful images, and you can blow them up at a reasonable size. So there you go. That's my favourite. I still take this out and use it, and take it on lots of holidays. I'll put some links in the preamble down the bottom. Sorry, the notes underneath the video, to show you some samples and where I talk a bit more about the camera below, so you can link to my blog and have a look at it. Beautiful chunky little camera. It's not big, it's just beautiful. You can just use it one hand if you want to. Don't know what else I can tell you about it. If you look, it has got on here, when you're doing if you're setting it on manual and you turn it on, you've got a wheel at the front and a wheel at the back, and that changes your shutter speed and your aperture. You can see these wheels here. I can just change that one around there. I can change that one around there. So that's a quick way of adjusting things when you're doing manual adjustments. And I love it, and I'd never get rid of this camera. It's just one of my all-time favourites, and that's what got me started in digital photography, really, digital SLR photography. I've had a few different Pentax digital SLRs since, probably about 3 of them I think, since this one, and they're older models now. I probably should upgrade to a fancier one, but it's horses for courses. Do you really need it? I'm of the firm opinion that the digital SLRs and the mirrorless cameras these days, which people rave about the video in them, I think these days, if you've got a camera like this, It's great for still photography. You don't really need to worry about all the video stuff on it. If you want to do video of your family and your kids, just use your phone. If you want to do proper video where you're doing wildlife and sports and things like that, my recommendation is get a standalone video camera, because I think you can't beat them. You know, there's one I've been threatening to buy for quite some time. I haven't got round to it yet, but I've reviewed other cameras, standalone video cameras, mini DV ones on this channel as well. But my next one will be a standalone digital movie camera. So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed that little look at this camera. Look it up on the internet, look up the specifications, see if you can buy one second hand. I'd recommend it. It's a great little camera. And so there you go. That's the Pentax istd. I'm going to be having a look at the poor man's Spotmatic in a couple of videos time probably, which I dub it the poor man's Spotmatic anyway, which is the Praktica M42 cameras. And also I hope to, a little bit further down the track, I've got a couple of Nikon digital SLRs that are around a little bit later than this era of one. I've got a D60 and a D70S, and I love those cameras. I've got some beautiful lenses, and I will be talking about those a little bit further down the track. So thanks again for watching. Like if you like, subscribe if you wish, and we'll see you next time.